The story starts with Naoto Hachuji, an introverted second-year high school student, walking into the library after the end of classes. He expects the library to be empty, but instead, he finds a group of 4 girls chatting there. Naoto tries to concentrate on his homework, but one of the girls gets closer to him to look for a book, causing the pages of a manga he drew to fall on the floor. The girls spot the manga and mercilessly criticize Naoto for it. However, before they can continue, one of the girls gets a text from a friend, prompting them to all leave except for one. The remaining girl introduces herself as a first-year student and calls Naoto her senpai. She identifies the manga protagonist as Naoto's self-insert and comments on how pitiful he is. She even goes as far as to call his character flat, reducing Naoto to tears. The girl comments on his behavior as creepy, but before leaving, she wipes his tears away with her handkerchief and cheerfully apologizes, leaving it as a present for him. That night, Naoto has nightmares about the humiliation he faced earlier that day. The next afternoon, the same girl approaches him and gives him back her laundered handkerchief. She follows him inside the art club room he's a part of and offers to be his model as an apology for bullying him the previous day. Naoto tries to refuse, but he's convinced out of embarrassment after the girl teases him, promising to give him a prize if he makes a good painting of her. However, all Naoto manages to do is a sketch, and the girl asks him to close his eyes, giving him a flick on the nose instead of a kiss, laughing at him for expecting a kiss. Naoto tries to cover his face to hide his tears, but the girl pulls his arms apart, mocking him for how weak he is. She kindly wipes his tears once more. Later, as they walk home together, the girl repeatedly teases Naoto, asking him to go out with her, but then stating that no girl would ask him something like that for real. When Naoto doesn't react, the girl asks him why he didn't get angry, pointing out that she was really mean to him. Naoto remembers that he's been bullied since childhood and is accustomed to it. When the girl suggests he has a crush on her, Naoto tells her to put that aside, and admits that he doesn't dislike talking with her. The girl smiles and tells him to stop calling her Miss, and finally introduces herself as Nagatoro. On the next day, Nagatoro stormed into the art club room with a hula hoop, asking Senpai to join her by slipping in. However, as he bent down to try, he accidentally saw her innerwears, causing Nagatoro to blush and hit him with the hula hoop. On a stormy afternoon, Senpai ate some yakisoba alone and then prepared to read an adult manga that he bought recently. However, Nagatoro entered the room asking him to show her what he was reading, much to the boy's embarrassment. After she managed to take it from his hands by force, accusing him to be a weirdo, Senpai tried to justify himself, saying the adult scenes were just a bonus, and he was actually interested in reading the vampire story. Intrigued, Nagatoro read the manga, finding the story amusing and joking about one of the vampire's victims being similar to Senpai. However, she reassured him that being a virgin, he won't have to worry even if caught by a vampire, because he won't turn into ghoul if bitten. Blushing, Senpai claimed that she can't be sure of his virginity without being a vampire, causing Nagatoro to ask him to try giving him a bite to see if she's a vampire or not. Senpai weakly tried to protest, but she managed to easily pin him to the ground, and stopped only due to the smell of garlic in his breath. As the boy tried to stand, she jumped again on top of him, causing them both to fall to the ground, her right hand landing on the boy's groin. That evening, walking back home, Nagatoro broke the embarrassing silence by asking Senpai if her touch excited him, and as the boy refused to answer, she grabbed his ribs with a mischievous smile. That night, thinking back what happened, Senpai got hard down. Later, Senpai went to a restaurant far from the road to school in order to continue his manga. However, Nagatoro and one of her friends entered the place along with 2 boys. He watched from a distance as Nagatoro turned down both of them with a bored expression, without being aggressive nor bullying them, and she scolded her friend for continuing to try to set her up with boys. Walking back home, Senpai asked himself if he is the only one Nagatoro bullied, and if so, why. After Nagatoro reached for him and started mocking his way to walk, Senpai tried to ask her said question, but was ultimately unable to do it, and they simply walk home together. Next day, Nagatoro and Senpai were caught in a storm while walking home. The 2 of them are forced to take shelter under a gazebo, where Nagatoro teases Senpai not to look at her, because her uniform has become see-through. However, Senpai thinks she's talking about her swimsuit and looks, only to catch a glimpse of her inner wear. After the storm gets worse, Nagatoro invites Senpai to her house until the weather gets better. Senpai is nervous about meeting Nagatoro's family, but she reassures him that they're not home. When they enter her room, Nagatoro lends Senpai some of her brother's clothes to change into, and even makes some tea for them to drink. As they play a video game, Senpai reveals that he's more skilled than Nagatoro, and she becomes competitive, cheating to distract him. Eventually, they both have a good time, and Nagatoro invites him to hang out again sometime. The next day, Nagatoro invites Senpai to sit with her and her friends, Gamo-chan and Yoshi, at lunch. They immediately ask if he's Nagatoro's boyfriend, and Nagatoro plays along, leading to teasing and mockery from her friends. Surprisingly, Senpai stands up for himself, saying he's not Nagatoro's boyfriend. Later, Nagatoro proposes that they improvise a Mansei sketch together, with Senpai playing the straight man and her the funny one. However, Nagatoro takes it too far and insults Senpai's looks and hairstyle, causing him to get offended. Nagatoro tries to cheer him up by suggesting he hit her shoulder in the traditional Mansei way to make a comeback, but as Senpai does it, he accidentally hits her chest instead. Both of them blush for a moment, but Nagatoro breaks the ice by complimenting Senpai for finally making a retort, jokingly stating that deep down, he aimed for her chest intentionally. Next day, Senpai washed his hands after having made an oil painting, when Nagatoro approached him on the faucet to wash her own hands after she spilled her juice. The Nagatoro made some remarks on how it seemed like they were showering together before doing something weird, and then started to ivilly stroke his hands to increase his discomfort until the boy ran away. The following day, Senpai ate his lunch in the art club room alone, when Gummo-chan and Yoshi stormed into it looking for Nagatoro, and after noticing she wasn't there, decided to toy with Senpai, asking him if he ever touched chest, and then offering him to touch Gummo-chan's. Embarrassed, Senpai refused but was stopped and constricted by Yoshi, who forced his right hand. Then, Gummo-chan reassured him it was just a joke, and she actually wore anpan underneath her shirt. However, right at that moment, Nagatoro entered the room, causing her friends to leave. Believing he actually touched Gummo-chan, the girl was utterly mortified, but Senpai quickly explained it was actually anpan, causing her to cheer up, laughing it off as a hilarious prank, and then she stuffed underneath her own shirt both a regular anpan and a premium one, telling him to touch them and try guess which one was the premium. However, while Senpai was doing it with his eyes closed, the anpan under her shirt fell out. Embarrassed, Nagatoro bit Senpai repeatedly, then they sat and ate their anpan in silence. On the following afternoon, Nagatoro dragged a sofa in the art club room, saying it was from the handicrafts club room, but they didn't need it anymore, and explaining that it allowed her to do many different poses as she intended to model for him. Then, noticing Senpai was watching the baseball team training outside of the window, especially its top star Hosokawa, which is Senpai's classmate, but is likely to go pro the next years. Nagatoro asked Senpai if he wanted to be complimented by others, just like he does, saying he needed to compliment others as well in order for that to happen, thus asking him to make her some compliments. In order to do it, Senpai admitted to himself for the first time that he thought that Nagatoro had a cute face, very beautiful slim legs, and a good smell. However, he was too embarrassed to say those thoughts out loud, so he simply said that her hair is very silky, that she's very light on her feet, and that he found her martial arts skills cool. This made Nagatoro actually blush a little. Then, as she tried to do the same for him, Nagatoro was unable to do it. Later, Senpai tried very hard to start drawing Nagatoro, but she kept teasing him and after a while, fall asleep. Watching how cute and innocent she's seen while sleeping, Senpai finally managed to do an extremely accurate painting of her. At first, Senpai felt proud of himself for finally managing to draw the human female figure. However, he then started to feel embarrassed, hoping Nagatoro never saw it, without realizing that the girl was actually already up and right behind him. Nagatoro immediately asked him to close his eyes and get ready for his reward. Senpai did as commanded, fearing another flick or worse, but instead she kissed him on the lips with a doll, and looked at the paint, tenderly stating that she really liked it. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions or recommendations, please let me know in the comments below. Your views and feedback mean the world to me, and I am truly grateful for all your support. I am thrilled to announce that we have crossed our first 100 subscriber goal today. None of this would be possible without you. Thank you again, and I can't wait to see you in the next